It's Saturday, and you know what that means. It's time for action in the Indy Open Series. Hello again, everyone. I'm Gary Gonzo, and welcome to Race First coverage, sponsored by Team Watson Racing Setups of Round 6 of the Indy Open Series Championship, coming to you from the Phillip Island Grand Prix Circuit in Victoria, Australia. Joining me for expert analysis in the booth today, my good friend as always. He's my IndyCar teammate and regular participant in the IndyCar Series, or the Fixed IndyCar Series, coming to us live from Mexico City. Please welcome Antonio Estrada. Antonio, we were just talking about this before the race here. IndyCars have never run this track for real, but if you had to compare, I guess, to any track that IndyCar compare to regular visits is Mid-Ohio. At least that one comes to mind. You got a chance to run some laps around this place, so what is your take on it?
Hey Gary, good evening everyone. Yeah, this is a very interesting combination. Not one that I would typically expect. In fact, I had to buy the truck in order to make laps around here. Yeah, the Mid-Ohio comparison I think is fair. However, this track is much faster and much more aggressive in certain corners. Like you will typically see two kind of corners throughout this race. Some of them are going to be blindly and blazingly fast, where you don't even have to lift, like turn 1 and turn 4. You don't have to do anything except, keep that button mashed there, keep the throttle straight to the metal, as well as some of the sections in the backstretch. But then you have some really long apexes, and they kind of behave a little bit like carousels. You can see that on the second to last turn, and also in turn 2, where you need to be in control of your car. And there are also some blind corners that you're going to find, especially in the back section of the track, which can be very akin to what you would see in Mid-Ohio. But yeah, I don't know what to expect. I think it's going to be very interesting. What I was, like you said, when I was driving around this place, I was very surprised at how fast you can turn a lap around in this place in the IndyCars.
And, well, speaking of that, had to do a little digging, and I believe this track record is a race lap record, but the Phillip Island officially recognized track record is a 1:24.061, so that's 1 minute 24 seconds. 1 minute 24.061 seconds, set in 2022, so just recently, by Tim Slade. He was driving a Brabham BT62 sports car. There is a unofficial track record there. I guess someone got their hands on either for a driving school or maybe for their own personal car. I'm not sure. An ex-Conquest Racing IR05 Dallara IndyCar, and driven by Matthew Radicic. This is the only reason I found about this is I believe his video is on YouTube. In that car, set a time of 1:17.005. And right now we're watching the first set of times come in, and Sandberg on the provisional pole, 1:12. Well, there's Lyon, so now they're starting to really come in now, but a 1:12.381. So the IR18 smashes the IR05 by at least 5 seconds at this point. And those cars, remember, those were the first Indy cars of the IRL IndyCar merger era that were really kind of built to turn left and right. Remember that previously the IRL cars really were just meant to turn left, and that was about it. So there was still a lot of designing to do to make those good road course cars. IR18 has since been a little bit more defined, and depending on who you talk to, the IR18 is a better road course car than it is an oval car, and it's kind of proven it right here by smashing that old track record, or that unofficial track record, in an IR05.
Yeah, completely demolishing the official track record, and of course that unofficial one by a good 5 seconds. Yeah, we're gonna see most of the fast guys turning laps around the 1:12 bracket for qualifying. But once we are in the race, we're gonna see well, as you know, we need to do that compound swap, so we're gonna have to go from the reds to the blacks. There is not that much of a tire difference. However, there is a little bit of difference with these. So when you're on the alternate tire on the red ones, you're gonna do, especially at the beginning of your stint, you're gonna do a 113, maybe a low 114. That's what you're gonna typically be doing. And by the end of your stint, which should last around 20 laps, 15 to 20 laps, you're gonna be doing 115s. However, on the primary, the black tire, you're going to be doing pretty much 114s the entire time that you have those tires, and they do not degrade at all. So really not that much of a strategy change, except maybe for a flyer that you can try if you do an undercut on somebody else. But yeah, so that should be the tire strategy for tonight, to try to separate and split to split it in half, basically. Maybe around lap 17 to 20, and go from there. Go fast. Go left and right.
Still have 2 minutes and about 25 seconds left here in qualifying provisionally. Will Lyon on the pole with a 1:12.381. His teammate Rashad Craig right behind him, 3/10 slower. So that brings up a good transition. Let's take a look at the standings here. And Rashad Craig is our is our current Indy Open points leader at the moment. Bring those up here real quick.
Followed by Will Lyon very closely there. For 30-point difference between those two. Yep. And we know that can change real quickly in any given week. And it also depends on the size of the strength of field of the session that you're in. So that can change a lot. Then we have Anders Sandberg with 785 points.
He's right behind the graphic there. And then Hugo Olsen, Chris Wilhite. I do not see either one of those guys in the lineup for today. That doesn't mean that they haven't already or won't try to make another race this season. But also some other names that you see in there. John Betafure, Andrew Marquez, of course. Kevin Burrell, I do not think he's in today's lineup. I don't see him in here.
Yeah, I don't think it's.
and Alex Van Desant not in the lineup, and Jesper Orman not in the lineup. So really the ones that we want to see for the championship, the top three, they're right here. They're all in this race. So championship implications here for this split. Now, it's not a super high strength of field. We kind of noted that before coming into the race. I think a lot of that has to do with a lot of people just kind of not fans of Phillip Island, I'm thinking. But it's a 25-14, so not a super multiplier here today.
Yeah. And, since it's not typically a track with history with IndyCar, I bet many of our drivers really don't feel any attachment to it. So they probably don't own it like myself.
Right,
and since you have those drop weeks, you have 4 drop weeks, there are probably a lot of them are being like, well, that's one of my drop weeks.
I'm getting ready to go racing. Qualifying time is up. And we're getting ready to grid up here momentarily. We'll see who plops in here first. And we'll get the starting lineup.
Well, a blazingly fast time from David Porcelli there, nabbing the pole by 0.4 of a second over Will Lyon.
David Porcelli, Mr. 6,000 I rating.
Yeah, no slouch there.
Yeah, lining up next to him, Will Lyon in the number 2 in the second spot. Rashad Craig, the number 4 in the third spot, making a cameo appearance that we don't really see very often here, at least on Race First coverage of the Indy Open Series. Adam Blocker, the Lionheart star, number 1 marked car, not lining up 4th. Anders Sandberg there in the Team Watson Racing setup car, lining up 5th. Zachary Hubler running up 6th, and look at these numbers. I mean, they're almost lined up according to what they are I-rating wise. So this is going to be very interesting as we get further back into this field. Going on back, Will Weiser 7th, Clinton Martin 8th, Ryan Stark 9th, Johan Bass at 10th, or Jonathan Bass, excuse me, at 10th, Paulo Lopes, I'm almost saying that right, at 11th, Ben Goyette lining up 12th. We have a small field today, so we're almost done here. Makamoto Yamasaki, from Japan, the number 11 in the 13th spot. Matthew Johnston, the 17th and the 14th spot. Ryan Murray lining up 15th. Dale Weiser 16th. This is where I might need my good friend Julian from the Netherlands to kind of help me with this last name, but it's Marco Disselboom. I believe there's supposed to be an umlaut in there somewhere, and it's not. He spelled it out phonetically, English-wise. Marco Disselboom. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. He's lining up 17th.
Yeah, I think that sounds good. And sorry if we butchered it.
And then Eugenio Massa. I hope I'm saying that right. I wonder if there's any relation there to the former Formula One driver. He is lining up 18th in the number 15. Alexander Rogenbuck, 19th. Miles Hamrick Jr. Kind of sounds like a blues singer there. He's lining up 20th. Bob Carey, 21st. And Raphael Reynolds in 22nd. 22 car field. Not a big lineup today, but I'm sure that's plenty for this field as we get reaching lap traffic. All these drivers will have their hands full. We're expecting about 20 laps to a stint, so definitely one stop. Right now we're watching on the field. And let's see what we got for tire choices. Porcelli is opted to go for the alts, or excuse me, for the prime. The alts, Will Lyon, and then Craig, Blocker, Sandberg, Hubler. They are all on the alts, or prime, excuse me. My eyes are still adjusting as sleeping in this morning here on the East Coast here.
Yeah, so very varied strategy there. A lot of people on the alternate, a lot of people in the primaries, and like we were talking about in the pre-race show, yeah, the alternates they're faster for a couple of laps, but then they kind of plateau with the primaries, and then they fall off a little bit, just a tiny bit. So it might be a good idea to throw them in here, try to make as many positions as you can early, because passing is going to be tough. There are not very many passing opportunities. As we were talking about, this track is very, very fast. So on those fast corners, you really cannot do anything. You cannot throw the car there in turn one. Or, well, you can try, but it's probably not going to end up well. and some of the other blind corners, super fast corners, you cannot do it side by side. So they're gonna probably want to do it on turn 5, the hairpin, which is like the best passing opportunity on the track, and the use of the push to pass. So again, using that alternate tire to gain a little bit of track position might be a good idea early on. We'll see how that develops during the race.
You know, interesting. If I was a spotter, an engineer for one of these drivers, and they were really unsure on what compound to use, I would say, do what either Porcelli or Blocker does. Well, they have split the difference. And here we go, here at Phillip Grand Prix Circuit. And sounds like we got some radios going on. We'll get those silenced here momentarily. Green flag in the air. We are racing Saturday Strength of Field here, sponsored by Team Watson Racing Setups. Diving down to turn 1, Porcelli.
Yeah, me a black flag there about running me off the road. Appreciate it.
Yeah, they were side by side for a tiny bit between Rashad Craig and Will Lyon. Rashad has to lift off a little bit to let him by, as we see Zachary Hubler and Anders Samberg fighting there for P5, right behind the leaders. As we're coming now to the hairpin, turn 5, this is probably the best opportunity to pass. Right, onto the runoff area. This is gonna be a tough tough time to pass an edge.
Yeah, and it's not exactly the widest racetrack too as well. At least here in the back portion. When they get to the front stretch, it's a little bit wider, but the rolling hills portion on the which we call the backside of the course kind of overlooks the ocean, kind of picturesque there, kind of the Pebble Brook version of racing, where it's built next to the sea.
A very pretty track. I mean,
yeah, it is excellent.
It has some really nice lines of sight here. However, if you miss that penultimate corner by just a tiny bit, you lose all your time. That just happened to Adam Blocker a little bit. He was right on Rashad Craig's tail, and Rashad had a little bit of a better exit, and that put an enormous gap between both of them.
Everyone's being nice and patient. Top 5, Porcelli, Lyon, Craig, Blocker, and Hubler. A little bit further back, Sandberg, Weiser, Martin, Stark, and Lopes making up your top 10 already here. 2 of 35 in the books. Thanks for joining us. Another glorious fall day here in the Midwest. Hopefully it's nice where you are as well. Thanks for taking time to watch us. I know we got some big football games later today, so I'm glad you're saving those on your DVR and you're joining us right now here for Indy Open action down under from Phillip Island.
Yeah, there was just a little bit of a moment between Ben Goyera and Paulo Lopez in the hairpin turn 5. Just a couple turns ago, where Ben got really close to the back of the car of Paulo Lopez. Under braking, he locked up the tires a little bit. That's something that can happen, as we see. There is Stark and Martin. They're going side by side in turn 1. Who's gonna give? Ryan Stark gets the position.
Of course, we're used to now seeing Stark in that M&M's livery.
Yeah, very reminiscent of Kyle Busch, at least for now.
Well, we actually might see, that's one of the rumors that got going on in the IndyCar community, might see Kyle Busch in a car for next year's 500, as well as maybe Kyle Larson as well. So 2 NASCAR stars thinking about making the and they did that all the time back in the 60s and the 70s. But the thing is, the Coke 600 or the World 600 at the time was not on the same day as a 500. That's kind of a more modern history, recent moment where when it always used to be IndyCar, the 500 was held on Memorial Day. Then they moved it back to Sunday, and of course that would then conflict with the stock car schedule. And then they had to do these special fly the jets and land the helicopters in the infield and run to your car and all that hubbub that Kurt, Tony and Robbie went through and all that. Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off a little bit. Adam Blocker just made a move on Rashad Craig. It didn't stick. Tried to go to the outside and turn 2. but he's just there, right behind him. Here's turn 4.
Yeah, he's
going
gonna
to
get his nose underneath them. They're side by side.
Yeah, now trying it on the outside of the
4,
hairpin.
not the preferred position right there.
But he still has a little bit of a nose in there, and that's gonna play well for him entering the car. So here, turn 6. Oh, but Rashad, he doesn't take anything from there. Yeah. But they're still very, very close together. And that also brought Zachary Hubler to the party.
Inside again, blocker, and that team power slide entry. Typically, that's we see Alex Van de Sant or Hugo Olsen in the team power slide cars. This time it's Adam Blocker repping him in today's top split race.
They're both on the push to pass button, but Adam Blocker is gonna get a little bit of draft. This is gonna help him. Is he gonna be able to clear him?
Oh, yes, he does, barely, but he fights back. Gets a nose in there.
Oh, that's a close racing. Now we'll see if Zachary Hubler is able to take a little bit of an advantage of that, because now Rashad Craig's going to have a little bit of a different error on his car due to being that close to Adam Blocker. That's going to throw some error in wrong locations.
Yep.
Or where he didn't expect them to be, so he's going to change the handling of the car just a tiny bit. And yeah, as we say it, Hubler is now within, what would that be, 3 car lengths probably? So very, very close.
Although we need to get Hubler into an IndyCar livery, not a Formula One livery on an IndyCar.
But yeah, going back to what you were saying, you know, that crossover between drivers in different series, that was amazing in the 60s, 70s, and whatever. And I would love to see that come back. So hopefully those rumors become true.
Yeah, all sorts of other rumors we've been hearing about possibly, and I think it's been shot down that the Jimmy Johnson ride, he would do the ovals, at the very least Indianapolis. Kimi Räikkönen would do the remainder of the schedule. That would have been fun to see.
Oh, Rogan Buck, I don't know what he's doing. He just stopped in the middle of the hairpin.
Oh, yeah, he might have got run off there. Let's go back in the Wayback Machine here and check just real quick. I was just trying to get the camera back because I saw him pop out, and I don't know if... Oh, okay, he is struggling for pace right now, and he wanted to get out of the way, and so that's kind of why he brought the car off to the grass, and yeah, and brought it to a stop there to let everyone by.
Well, yeah, I think he has a damaged race car.
Okay.
Just went through the last half a lap that he did before he stopped there on the hairpin. It's not full throttle. He's kind of like just trying to make laps. I don't know, but he doesn't hit. So yeah, I'm not sure. So I would say that if you're that damaged or if you're that out of pace, then you probably should park it.
This is closest battle on the racetrack. Battle for 5th and 6th between Anders Sandberg, and Zachary Hubler. Also kind of appearing in this picture, Will Weiser as well.
Looks like Jonathan Bass just made a move on Ben Goyette, but they're still side by side. Goyette gets it back. They're fighting tooth and nail down here in P10, 11, and 12. They're very close to each other also.
We noted last week that the mid-pack battles were especially spirited last week, and it seems to be that case again today. Up in the front, the leaders have kind of just pulled away for the most part. Porcelli with the second and a quarter over Lyon. Lyon and 2 seconds over Blocker. Craig is following. That's probably the next closest battle on the racetrack versus what we were just watching there between Sandberg and Hubler. But we're taking a peek here at this battle for 10th. and 12th. This is 10, 11, and 12. Lopez, Goyette, and Bass.
Are very close to each other, but again, making a move here is very tough. You need for, maybe a mistake from the guy in front of you, but Jonathan Bass there showed the car a little bit, and he gets a better exit than Goyette. Maybe he's going to do something with it, entering turn 6. No, he doesn't. He's not that close. But yeah, the track makes it tough to get close to other guys, so you need to wait for a little bit of a tiny wobble, anything, so that you can get your car side by side and try and make advantage of probably not that particular corner, but maybe the upcoming one.
Well, you say there's really only, I would say, 2 good passing zones here, 4 and 10.
Yeah, yep. And I keep calling it turn 5, but yeah, you're right, it's turn 4. The Herb is turn 4.
Yeah. Back up front, here is David Porcelli, our leader.
Yeah, and Adam Blocker is closing in. I think at this point we're starting to see a little bit of the tire difference. So both Porcelli and Blocker are on the primary tires, so they're doing 114s, like we were expecting them to do. And I see that Will Lyons last time was 115.7. That means that his tires are at the end of their lifespan. So I'm sure that Will is going to try and do an undercut and put on those primary tires and expect both Porcelli and Blocker to go on to the alternates and be the ones struggling with tire at the end of the race.
There you see last lap speed. There you go. There you see last lap speeds on the screen. We'll leave that up for a little bit. You can get an idea of how these cars with different compounds are adjusting.
And Blocker now going for it on the front stretch. We're side by side with Will Lyon. I'm sure Will is going to give it to him here. He doesn't want to fight and lose any more time. There he goes. Move Blocker up to P2.
And right in front of Blocker, that is Raphael Reynolds, I believe, in that gold
chrome car.
Gold chrome. I was almost going to say, I thought it was what Pagano drove this year for a couple races, or last year in a couple races in the IndyCar schedule. It was like a Gold Coast suntan lotion or something like that. And but still, all gold car, looking pretty good. But he is getting put down a lap here by the leaders.
And now Rashad Craig is getting really close to Will Lyon. He's probably going to go by him in the next couple of corners. I think at this point Will Lyons' tires are gone. But he still hasn't lost that much to the leader. He's 4 seconds back, so it's entirely doable that will switch around once he is on the primary tire. As Rashad Craig is now going for it on the front stretch, as he did with Adam Blocker last before.
Yeah, and that was a planned pass. You can kind of tell that their teammates working together there.
There come Rashad Craig is he's blocked by, I don't know.
That's Miles Hammock Jr., I believe.
Oh man, he really got in the way of these guys.
Yeah, they just caught him in a really bad spot, and there was no place for him to kind of hide and get out of everyone's way.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's not his fault at all. That's what happens when you have a single split and there is that big of a, of a pace difference between those drivers. But yeah, that certainly did affect both Rashad Craig and Will Lyon, as they are now. Well, we were just talking about it. Will Lyon was 4 seconds back. Now that moves him to 5.5. And Zachary Hubler is next in line to pass him. And the other thing is, pit entry is weird.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I was gonna. Eventually, we're gonna get to that when the pit stops happen here. But it is kind of pit entries kind of off in Neverland.
Yeah. When I was driving around here, I was like, okay, well, let's try and find a pit lane. And I was like, well, there is no pit lane here when I was in the front stretch. And it's like, oh, okay, well, it's on turn 10-ish, the last turn, right before it. So, yeah, you really have to commit to it. And also, it's a narrow road where you can easily get off tracks, easily get the car unstable if you drop a tire on the grass. So, yeah, a tight one that's gonna potentially make a difference between these cars.
Well, they are used to tight and troublesome, excuse me, that's what I meant to say, troublesome pit roads. Of course, Barber has one, Laguna Seca has one. For instance, those are two that always seem to catch drivers out.
Yeah. If we compare it with Laguna, this one is probably easier because of the the pit exit. Pit exit is just like, okay, you're gone. That's it. There is no road. You're just thrown into the front stretch right here where Will Lion is going through, and that's it. But yeah, pit entry, that's a whole another animal. Now, Anders Sandberg is next in line to pass Will Lion. Lap 13, so Will is probably 2 to 3 laps away from making
yeah,
his big
you're right. Yep. Yeah, I was getting ready to say this is exactly kind of what happened last week at Mosport. Excuse me, Mosport, but Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. That's kind of what happened to him last week. First stint, started falling back, came out, got a stop in there, put new tires on, did a good jump over everyone, was kind of battling. Obviously, was battling right there for the lead at the very last turn. So he came back. This is kind of his MO at the moment. He, and in case you're wondering, Will still has all of his push to passes left. He will not use those until the closing stages of this race.
Yeah, he will not use them until he has those primary tires and he's able to blitz by these guys. And also to keep in mind that he's going to be slower for the first like 2 laps compared to the other guys who were going to be on the alternates because they are fast for 2 laps. But then he's going to be going by them. Yeah, Sandberg just went by.
Yep, gets the drop on him right there going in the 1 using push to pass.
And now he gets to chill because Ryan Stark is quite a ways behind him, 5 seconds between those 2 drivers.
Yep.
And he's not that far from the lead, so yeah, an interesting strategy. Not sure which one is a winner. It's probably, I don't know, I wouldn't venture to say.
Of course, Power Slide did win last week at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, so and that battle between Brian Carey and Will Lion there at the end, and Will kind of gave him a little bit of the chrome horn in the final turn, kind of moved Carey out of the way, and then he kind of pulled over and slowed down and let Carey pass him for the win to kind of make back that little mistake of getting into him. That's just close racing. Nothing there negative. The leader's now experiencing lap traffic again. That's Marco. So put him a lap down. 17 cars on the lead lap. Bob Carey is the next car, last car on the lead lap. Next car that these leaders will experience. He's a little ways up the road. Don't see the leaders quite yet in the picture around him. Blocker has kind of dug into Porcelli a little bit.
Yeah, I was about to mention that. Yeah, Blocker was like 2 and a little bit more, 2 minutes away from Porcelli, but the last 3 to 5 laps, he's been the fastest car on the track. But maybe a tenth here, maybe a couple tenths here. Last time by, he was 4 tenths quicker than Porcelli. So now he's 1.3 seconds, 1.4 behind Porcelli, again closing in.
Real quick, let me take care of these radios before we get to pit stops. All right.
Yeah, so last time by, Blocker was 2 tenths quicker than,
he is reeled him in quickly.
Yep.
And this is the battle of two of the super teams, Satellite Racing, Team Power Slide.
However, catching is one thing.
Passing is another, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, an entirely different one. And I was looking at the results of the earlier races today, and Porcelli just won one a couple hours ago, so he's definitely used to being up front. I'm sure he's not going to make it easy at all for Adam Blocker to try and make a move.
Yeah, looking at Porcelli's iRating, he just got to 6,000 today. I'm not sure if he's been at 6,000 before, but he was at 6,003 in his iRating coming into this race. So whatever he earned in that last race was enough to get him over the 6K mark.
So last time by, 3 tenths. Keep adding. Those keep adding. Now it's under a second.
And now he has slow traffic in front of him.
Yeah, catching lap traffic. As Will Weiser is the first one of the takers, he's going to the pits. What's the running P7?
Yep, and that AlphaTauri livery.
Oh, Blocker really closed it out there. But, yeah, the lap car just gets out of the way. Very gentlemanly thing to do. Especially because there are, like we said, there are not very many passing opportunities. And if you get stuck behind a slower car...
right, and there's not very many places unless you're on the front stretch or possibly coming out of the carousel out of 2 that you can duck and hide here to give a long straightaway to somebody. You know, there's very little places that you could do that. So, fortunately, it's just the matter of luck where sometimes some of these lap traffic cars get caught.
Yep. And now we're on lap 17. So I'm thinking that Will Lyon is gonna dive into the pits here. Yep, he does.
There's Will Lyon and P6 coming into the pits. There's that pit road we were telling you about.
Last time by, another chance between Blocker and Porcelli.
Ryan Stark coming in as well.
Closing in, it's now under 0.7 of a second between the leaders. Yeah, Ryan Stark, Clint Martin, and Makoto Yamasaki are all in the pits. The Lion's done. He's out. A 9.1 second pit stop. Not the fastest one, though.
He might have made a couple of adjustments during that stop, too. Remember, this is open setup. This is where people can create their own setups coming into the race, and then all of the options for the changes you can make on a car during a pit stop, rear wing adjustment, front wing adjustment, those can be made. Tire pressure changes, those can all be made here in open setup races. And
in the meantime, Blocker keeps chipping away at the lead. He's very, very close now to David Porcelli, although Porcelli now on the push pass button, trying to get a little bit of a breathing room between himself and Blocker. And steal another chance off. Blocker faster by a tenth.
And we got, again, slower traffic here in the way. Not in the way. Just they're countering it.
Oh, that's going to affect Blocker.
Oh, that's going to get really Blocker. And then there's nothing. He's staying to the inside. He's trying to stay out of the way. It's just, unfortunately, bad timing. Just bad timing.
Yep. Ben Goyette and Ryan Murray diving to the pits.
We're keeping an eye on these leaders here. See when they make their pit stop, do they go right at lap 20 or do they go a little bit deeper? Therefore, shorter fill and less time on those red tires?
Yeah, I think that they're making that tank go dry. Because it's really an advantage. And
here they come, both on pit road right now, coming to lap 20. Oh, and they got a slower car in front of them.
Yeah, super slow. That's gonna erase the difference between these two.
And that's gonna help Rashad Craig, because Rashad Craig was able to come in at full speed right behind him. So we'll see how, when this all shakes out, how much time Rashad Craig made up on that one.
And we also need to keep our eye out for Will I and see where he's gonna merge back in. But here is a race of pit road. Let's see. Blocker is done. Porcelli is done. And Kerry is done in front of these guys. Ooh, that's gonna block Porcelli again. It's 1/10 between those two.
Yeah, and Kerry's trying to fight to stay on the lead lap or close to it. So that's kind of why he is. He's I'm not giving him any grief for getting in anyone's way. He's not in anyone's way. He's just trying to keep his race on the lead lap. So nothing wrong with that.
Oh yeah, for sure. You cannot just disappear. Oh, somebody rejoining. That was dangerous. That was Rafael Reynolds in that gold chrome car coming back to the track.
Ryan Murray.
A little bit of a dangerous maneuver.
Yeah, I got to watch where you do the rejoins. That's a big thing. Ryan Murray here just moving up to the 13th spot as some other pit stops are being made. He is the last car on the lead lap on the track at the moment. Here he is currently in 13th.
Oh, also, Zachary Hubler, he was able to squeeze another lap.
Yes, he was, and we are just watching him hit his stall right now.
And he didn't have any traffic in front of him, so let's watch the... Well, no.
Leaders go by. Leaders went by. Yep. He rejoins. He's past the cone. There goes Craig. Hubler rejoins in 4th spot.
Oh, boy. The time difference, the pace difference between these top runners and the rest of the field is astounding. They just caught, who was that? Eugenio Massa, and just blazed by him, both of them. Very lucky that they caught him in the, what was it, turn 2, and Eugenio was able to get out of the way. But Blocker, Porcelli, they're still really, really close to each other. Perhaps more now than ever.
Right now,
and
Blocker,
just like that.
Go ahead, go right ahead.
I was just gonna say, just like that, we are way past halfway. I mean, this race has flown by.
And that's probably, we'll keep the eye here. We need to get a word in from our sponsors, but we will do it side by side and keep the action right here. We'll remove all the graphics and we'll keep the action right here as the two leaders battle it out here at Phillip Island. And we might even see a pass for the lead right here. We'll just stick with it.
Blocker going for it. Blocker going for it. Side by side, entering turn 1. Ooh, Blocker has it.
Over under. Nope.
Yeah, let's see if Porcelli is able to come back here on the hairpin. It's very close. They're both on the push to pass button. Porcelli got on it a little earlier, so he's gonna get the outside here.
Oh, those guys went so deep into that turning that braking zone.
And
they went so deep there in the 4. Wow.
What a move! Yeah, I think we can now safely go.
Let's go.
Watch Team Watson.
Yeah, let's get some words in from Team Watson Racing Setups. All right, and we're back. If you are just joining us, wow, you're watching a heck of a race. This is race first coverage of the Saturday 2 p.m. Eastern top split of the Indy Open Series Championship with coverage sponsored by Team Watson Racing Setups, coming to you from the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit, where we completed. We're more than past halfway here. We are. Where are we at? We're 23 laps into 23 laps of 35 of a scheduled 35. You're enjoying race first coverage tonight's race and would like to monetarily support our commentary team. Make sure you donate via our GoFundMe link in the description. All you have to do is right click on that and take it to another tab, make your donation, and you can come right back with us and not miss any of the action. We appreciate your donation. We realize times are tough. And we thank you for watching. Make sure to also like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We're getting very close to our 1,000th subscriber. Got about 43 subscribers to go before we get to the magical 1,000 mark.
Oh man, Porcelli is not giving up. He's there. He's gonna send it. Yeah.
Yep. Outside.
Makes
there he
it
goes.
work.
Inside there. Bad timing
And,
for some of the graphics, but there we go.
Wow. He got just in the wake in the perfect way and just sent it there. Very, very ballsy move. Now moving him up back to the lead. And while while we were watching this battle, I was also taking a look at where Will Lyon was. He had already made a move on Under Sandberg. He was up to P5, but then he went off track and he's now back
to P6 there, yeah.
Sandberg, back to P6.
Yep.
And he's lost, I would say, a good 3 seconds, 4 seconds maybe even, during that maneuver. So I would say that it's now probably looking not very good for his chances of earning a podium here. But we'll see. I mean, at this point, the tires are pretty much even, both the alternates and the primaries. But in a couple of laps, the primaries will start, will keep going the way that they are, and the alternates will fall off a cliff a little bit. So he might be able to make something up. As Adam Blocker is also not giving up. This is a great battle for the lead here. And they're coming up on lap traffic here. That's the car of Matthew Johnson, who's on the lead lap.
Yeah, he's the last car on the lead lap in 14th. He's in that Team Penske livery from this season.
The Newgarden Expel one. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, Team Penske doesn't do like very many crazy things. They are very classy paint schemes. I like them. They have that Penske flair, basically. Like, it's a Penske car from afar.
Yep, that's for sure.
Oh, that took a little bit of time.
Stays wide, and he stayed wide. Let him go.
Now, could it also be that Adam Blocker's tires are done at this point? I mean, we know that they don't last that long. Maybe Porcelli was able to keep, or maybe he's trying to conserve a little tire and let him Porcelli go so that he can catch him back later. We don't know. We're gonna have to stick around and watch, because now it seems like there's a little bit of a gap between Porcelli and Blocker.
So these are two drivers that we might actually see in an upcoming race here. And that's what I want to talk about. These are probably two drivers that are going to be racing in that Open Wheels 500 here on November 19th. So on November 19th, normally that would be an Indy Open Strength of Field race we will be covering. But in an effort to remove as many conflicts as possible for the iRacing IndyCar community, got a bit of a broadcasting note here. Race First will be moving back our coverage a day to Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. So again, the broadcast, the Indy Open broadcast split that we will be broadcasting that week, and this is for the Indianapolis Oval. This is going to be on November 18th, as we will be broadcasting the 7 p.m. Eastern time split. Keep in mind, this is also after daylight savings, which I've been reminded, where we all have to fall back here. So the time changes will affect here iRacing as well. So that's going to be the 7 p.m. split. So again, mark your calendars. Race First Indy Open Strength of Field broadcast for Week 10 Indianapolis with coverage sponsored by Team Watson Racing Setups being pushed back a day to Friday, November 18th at 7 p.m. We want to thank community members for their feedback, and we wish all the competitors good luck at Indy on that action-packed weekend.
As I'm seeing Will Lyon finally make it back around Andrew Sandberg, so he's back up to P5, but he still has like a 4.5 second gap to Zachary Hoover during P4, so tough to make that time up, especially with only. And
those guys are all on. Those go out, and they're going to be all on the alt tire right now. That by the time he starts reeling them in, that tire is going to be pretty well done.
Yeah, he should be around a second quicker. So I mean, there might be a chance for him to get
he's already
Hubler
got-
and
he's-
maybe even Craig.
I think he can get Hubler. He's already, or he's going to reach Hubler. Let's put it that way. When
Yep.
you've already said it, it's a whole lot different when you're reaching versus passing. He will reach Hubler. He got him under 2 seconds now at about 1.6 there at the lowest mark.
And now going back to the lead, Porcelli trying to break the draft, not give anything to Blocker, but
Jeez,
wow,
an aggressive
all around.
snake.
But
And we've heard
Blocker
about all
right
sorts
there.
of dangerous wildlife in Australia. That must be the draft snake, that the ever dangerous draft snake.
It sure is, but Blocker, a little bit of a lock up there. That's not going to be good for the tire.
And this is, they are clear by about 8 seconds over Craig. So this is now going to be a 2-car battle as we're getting down to 8 laps to go, coming to 7 here very shortly. And you're right, this has gone by rather quickly. Again, this is race first coverage of the Indy Open Series Championships with race coverage sponsored by Team Watson Racing Setups. And this is coming down to the wire between two hot shoes of the community. Of course, Adam Blocker, Lionheart star, Indy Open star, many wins. Actually has a career in IndyCar. David Porcelli, he's a real-life racer as well.
Blocker very close now. Is he gonna send it? Oh no, he lifts up. So he's playing a little bit of a longer game here. He could have sent it, but he lifted up the throttle a tiny bit. Oh, Porcelli gets sideways.
Yeah, got a little loose there. Going through 2.
Is he gonna send it entering the hairpin? Let's see. He's now checking the outside line here.
Oh, look how the braking zone there. So deep. They get in there so deep on the braking.
Super deep, yep. But at this point, what we were thinking was going to happen has happened. So Porcelli's last time by was a 1:15.4 and Blocker's was a 1:15.2. The fastest car on the track, well, the 2 fastest cars on the tracks were Ryan Stark and Will Iron, both 1:14.7. So yeah, those primary tires, they last quite a bit. So around 0.8 of a second faster for those guys. But I think we're running out of time for Will Iron. And now we're coming to, what's that, 6 to go, and Blocker and Porcelli, they're catching another lap car.
That's going to be Big Goyette for 10th, I believe. Nope. Trying to find out here.
It's Miles Hamrick.
There we go, Miles Hamrick. Yep.
So they're gonna find him again on the hairpin. So hopefully gets out of the way. He does.
He lifts there. They get by.
Oh man, Blocker.
Yeah,
right in the
we
gearbox.
I just saw in the corner of the screen behind the graphic how close he got with the nose there. And Porcelli not being intimidated at all. Of course, Blocker has all the stats and everything to, if you knew if he's behind you, he could very easily intimidate you.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like the Dark Knight stalking his prey right now.
Yeah, but Porcelli keeping it very cool, calm and collected, making what he has to do, snaking a little bit here and there on the front stretch. And not even that much this time by, not a lot of whip. Oh, there it is. There's the whip.
There it is. 5 to go. Here's the push to pass situation. Porcelli 3, Blocker 7.
Well, that's probably gonna come in handy at some point. But when do you use it? So now there's a little bit of a larger gap this time by, although that's gone now. Will Lyon still 2 seconds away from Zachary Hubler, so he's made about 2.5 seconds there.
Yep.
But But yeah, he's running out of time, and that off track really didn't help him at all. So we keep our eyes really, really close to this battle. I mean, these guys have not given themselves any breathing room at all. It's been a great race so far. Coming to the front stretch down there, we're gonna come to 4 to go, and that's a better exit for Blocker, who's now on the push-pass button. He's gonna make it by Porcelli, I think, here.
There we go. On the outside. That's going to set him up better for the next turn.
Oh, great defense there by Porcelli, but ooh, that was close.
Hey, he just kind of slid on down. He was clear. He was clear. Nothing dirty there.
Oh, no, not at all. Plus, it's for the lead, so
I'm a fan of both. I'm a fan of both of these guys. I haven't really raced Blocker in very many things. I did a season racing Porcelli and in the Velocity Online Racing Series, and you know, he raced me fair. I raced him fair. I liked racing with him.
Yeah, both really good drivers and really clean drivers. So everything's fair here, going for the win. Plus, like you said, it wasn't anything dirty. It was just like, well, I have the decision. You have to take it for me.
Yep. You can't drive through me. If you did, we're both done.
Yep. All right, let's see what they do. A Blocker on the push-pass button earlier in the standby to get a better exit and a little bit of draft. Let's see what Porcelli does.
That's right on board.
So he covers the inside, very smart.
Again, back to the outside, setting himself up for turn 2 a little bit better.
Much better. They're going to be entering side by side, and Blocker is going to be able to take it. He slides up a little bit.
Oh, and an
Porcelli
over-under.
trying to make an over-under. But I think he's got him. Although we're coming here now to the hairpin. Better turn in for Porcelli. He's going to have a field line on the outside.
Side by side through 4.
Blocker makes it work.
I think Blocker might have slightly better tires at this point. I think what you were talking about earlier, where he fell back and just kind of took it easy and cooled him off a little bit, I think that might have been him working.
Yep. But Porcelli is not giving up at all. Whoa, what a move.
Wow. Take that, Adam Blocker. We are watching 2 heavyweights slugging it out right here in the closing stages down under.
And now Porcelli on the push-pass button. Blocker also on the push-pass button. He's going to get a little bit of draft also, so he's probably going to try that same move.
Yeah,
there we go, to the outside.
This is Frazier and Ali. This is definitely the Thunder down under.
Side by side. They're going to be entering turn 2. There's lap traffic ahead also. Blocker.
Oh, side by side. Now they really want that car moved. I believe that might be Marco. Marco's going to want to get out of the way. Hopefully he's watching his relative. Yeah. And
Blocker clears him for a tiny bit, but not enough.
Oh, side by side still. Do 4. Oh, a little bit of a check. Not anything dirty there. Just got a little loose. Gonna take a look to the outside, trying to get clean air on the front wings.
And it's 2 to go. We're gonna be entering the last lap with just a couple of corners.
Side by side through 9, coming into one of the few braking zones here for passing 10. Takes a look to the inside, he sends it a little bit. Oh, normally when you lock him up like that, that is a recipe for disaster, because that means you're going long, and he manages to keep it off Porcelli. Now here we come through 12.
Both on the button again. He's gonna try the same move, but now actually Porcelli has a little bit of help there with that lap car. That was timely for him.
Yes, it was. Again, on the outside. Blocker's trying to make it work again. Not this time. Goes to the inside. Going into 2. Not again. Here we come through the sweeper in 3. And down
Blocker
to that.
On the bottom.
This is the big braking zone coming up right here in the 4. Blocker going to do a front brake inside, outside, inside. Nope, locks it up.
Oh, Porcelli with that big
Car
lockup.
off in front of him.
Oh, don't rejoin there, man.
Oh, look at that wing. He's got it right under the rear attenuator.
And they both have one use of the button. I'm sure they're going to be using it coming into the last corner. But they also have last traffic in front of them again.
They got 10, now into 11, and now they're going to hit probably the push to pass button. Both are on it now. Both are on it now. Coming through corner number 10. Porcelli holding off one of the greats here in the community. Coming to the start-finish line. David Porcelli wins at Phillip Island, being stalked by the Dark Knight, Adam Blocker.
Wow. What a race.
I think of just about any other driver folds under the pressure. David Porcelli wins. A huge win for him here at Phillip Island, the Grand Prix circuit here. And I imagine when we talk to him after the race here, he is going to be very happy and probably exhausted.
Yeah, for sure I would be. Well, I probably would have been it like 10 laps ago. But man, what a race. I mean, super clean between those two guys, and Porcelli never gave up. He was whenever Blocker went by him, he was like, nope, I'm gonna take it back, and he did it the very next corner, or well, a couple corners afterwards. But yeah, man, what a race. And also something that I lost track of because I wasn't really paying attention to it with this battle that was going on is Will Lyon. He made up a podium. He ended up P3, just went by Craig there in the last couple of laps. So, yeah.
And there's Zachary Hubler. And watching a lot of the guys doing their cool down lap. Get back up to David Porcelli. I imagine he has some celebratory donuts that he wants to perform here. It is still morning, at least in Hawaii. So morning donuts for those of you in Hawaii. Or a morning burnout. There you go. And let's take a look at today's final standings here from Phillip Island.
Man, what a race. So, your winner, David Porcelli, with Adam Blocker in P2, just 2/10 off of him. Very close battle between those guys throughout the entire second stint, and what a race they put on for us. 10 P3 rounding up the podium. Will Lyon, we were talking about him, but then we were glued to that battle between Blocker and Porcelli that we didn't see him, but he managed to make it back to P3, so the strategy ended up working for him. And I wonder if that off-track really, I mean, if that off-track didn't happen, maybe he could have been up front with Blocker and Porcelli. But still, P3 for him. Then we have Rashad Craig P4 with Zachary Hubler in P5 rounding out the top 5. Andrew Samberg P6 with Ryan Stark in P7, with Jonathan Bass P8, Ben Goyette P9, and Makoto Yamasaki rounding up the top 10. Then we have Ryan P. Murray P11, the last one of the drivers on the lead lap, with Matthew Johnson in P12, with Paulo Lopez P13, Dale Weiser P14, Bob Curry P15, Neil Weiser P16, Miles Hemrick P17, Alexander Roggenbuck in P18, Marco P19, with Clint Martin P20 and Eugenio Massa in P21, and Rafael Reynolds finishing up P22. Let me try again. Marco Dieselblom.
Yeah, I think that might be right. If we're saying that wrong, Marco, feel free to correct us there on the Race First Discord server. Or either that, we need Julian's help to be able to say that properly. I don't think the American tongue does not bend in certain directions, and that one was a little difficult for me too.
Man, what a good race there.
All right, let's see who is in chat here, and see if we can bring him on up. And there is Will. We'll have Will tell us about, because we were watching the leaders the whole time.
Yeah,
so we might have to ask him to replay his last couple. You know, I might be able to queue up on the replay. Let's get him in here first, and let's So, Will, you really surprised us by getting up to third there in the closing laps, especially we couldn't leave the leaders camera-wise. So all that work you did, it's only in your own mind. No one saw it.
Oh, great. I suspected that. When I saw Adam and David battling, I thought, oh, well, there's absolutely zero screen time here. But, it was good fun. It's a great track. And unfortunately, I was maybe just on the wrong tires, the wrong strategy today. But it was good fun. I mean, as you say, the good thing about starting on the alternates is you do have to fight your way through the field in the second half. So that was really good fun, and it was hard work, really hard.
Hey, Will, congratulations on that P3. Yeah, and we were watching you really closely because you were on that different strategy from all the other leaders, and it seemed at one point that it was going to work, but you got a little bit of an off track. How much did that affect, you catching up to Porcelli and Blocker?
Yeah, I mean, I calculated it as about 6 seconds that I lost. I had two separate incidents after my pit stop where I got caught up in a little bit of issues with back markers, and I mean the second one in particular, I went flying across the track. I mean that cost me 4 seconds alone, I think, that one. So it is what it is. I mean, that was always the risk with going on the reds first, because it would have meant I've got to pit out of sequence. I might get held up by people further down in the pack, and obviously it's a bit of a gamble no matter when you pit anyway. And unfortunately for me, it just didn't pay off today. I feel like probably didn't quite have the pace to battle with Adam and David at the end, but obviously with the push to pass and the superior tires at the end, anything could have happened. So it was a bit frustrating, but I enjoyed it nevertheless. It was great fighting through the field, and also through the back markers. It was a bit like a multi-class race at times, but it was good fun. It was good fun.
Sure. And those kind of alternate strategies,
yes.
I mean, sometimes they work amazing, sometimes they don't. But still, it was a lot of fun watching you try and keep up with the guys on the primary tires when you were on the alternates, and then going a little bit through the field, although, like we said, we kind of lost track of you for a second after that. But Gary, you were about to ask something. I kind of got in the way.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the. It's fun to see those up front. Someone go on an off strategy, because that kind of keeps the ending, at least drama wise, tied up a little bit, because we don't know what's going to happen. But excellent drive for you. We'll try to see possibly here if the replay will actually get to you passing those two guys here in the closing laps. But next week we move to an oval. I know ovals aren't your expertise, but you are getting much better at them. But this time is New Hampshire. I can't say that at least in the series that I've seen you run in, that the PMRL and some other series, New Hampshire gets picked too often. What's your thoughts about New Hampshire and getting on that very flat paperclip oval?
Yeah, I mean, I want to issue a rallying call, really, because I don't own the track, but I've watched a real life race there. I went on YouTube and watched one, and it looked really fun. So, but participation doesn't seem to be great, particularly in the Open Series around New Hampshire. So I would just, if I'm going to buy the track, I need people to convince me they're actually going to run it. So it looks fun. I want to do it. So hopefully we can get some good races going next week, and I can buy it. And it looks like a great track. I mean, I don't imagine there's a lot of passing, but it's one of those tracks where you just got to look after your tires and time the run, really, when you're going to overtake people. So yeah, fingers crossed it picks up a little bit.
Shout outs, anyone say hi to?
Just everyone. Indy Alliance again. Rashad again. I was using his setup with a few little tweaks, so he's really making some great setups for the team, which encourages me to race when it's not quite a popular week. So big thanks to him, and big thanks to you guys broadcasting as well.
Well, we enjoy it, and we're glad that you had a good race and enjoyed it as well. We'll see you next week, and enjoy the podium.
Cheers, guys.
See ya. We'll bring up, hey, there's Adam Blocker, and we'll bring him up here. Hey, Adam, thanks for joining us here on the post-race interview. Man, that was probably one of the better side-by-side battles we've seen on a road course in a very long time. It says a lot to, of course, your skill set and that of David's. Tell us about those closing laps. A couple close calls, but you guys are awesome and kept it off each other.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't really think we had any close calls that I was really worried about. But yeah, well, first I probably screwed myself not doing much prep. So like my first qualifying run was in the session itself. So that was yeah, not ideal. But yeah, I was able to get past Rashad in the first stint, and you know, and Will on reds. And I'm not sure. I was expecting Will to come back to us right at the end, but yeah, I thought if I got to David, you know, I would, you know, have a long run pace advantage on reds. But then I passed him at one point in that stint, and then he was, you know, still right there, and seemed like he wanted to pass me back, and I just decided to let him go if he wanted to go, and burn some push to passes. And my plan was just save my tires and wait for the end, and I think I did that well, but I just waited too long.
Yeah, we were kind of looking at that while you were doing that, like waiting a little tiny bit behind Porcelli, trying to make the tire life of, well, the life of those tires go a little further. But great job anyway with that P2. That was such an exciting battle to watch live. We were glued to that for the last couple of laps. And something that also threw a wrench in there was the lap traffic. So at some points it was like in tough locations, especially in this track, there are not very many places that you can pass. So how did you manage to do that and not lose your cool?
Yeah, I mean, I got frustrated a couple times, but yeah, it's just whenever you get a race that doesn't split like this, you get some a big pace difference between the leaders and the back markers, so you catch them in weird spots, and they do maybe things that we consider unpredictable. So yeah, I don't know. You know, it's just as long as I didn't lose the draft when we were still stuck together, it didn't really matter how much time we lost. So yeah, that's just kind of the mentality. But yeah, overall, just want to thank everybody for coming out and hope we get, you know, some more participation for the rest of the year. New Hampshire should be really awesome next week, so looking forward to it.
Well, before we let you go, any shout outs? Anyone say hi to sponsors, teammates, that type of thing?
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody at Powerslide for all the work as usual, and yeah, I just want to thank you guys for donating your time to help the community.
No problem. We enjoy it, and thanks for joining us. Always good to see you in the lineup, and hopefully maybe we'll see you at New Hampshire.
Yep, see you there.
See ya. And bring up David Porcelli here. Hey, Dave, fantastic win. Great battle there at the end. I imagine you're a combination of very excited and also probably, as the adrenaline is wearing down on you a little bit, probably starting to get a little exhausted as well. Tell us about those closing laps. I mean, you don't see side-by-side battles like that very often on road courses. And when you do, sometimes there's a lot of beating and banging. And you guys, there might have been a couple close instances, but you kept it off each other and you raced each other extremely clean and extremely fair, I thought.
Yeah, to be honest, just really honored to have put on such an amazing race and to be a part of like such a phenomenal performance. Adam, hats off to Adam for keeping it clean and keeping me honest and pushing me as hard as I could go. You're absolutely right. Adrenaline is certainly starting to wear off, and I'm just sort of sitting here like, okay. Yeah, wow, my goodness, just I think I'm going to be saving that broadcast and watching it for years to come, because what a race.
And you're going to see a lot of the racing that you were doing with Blocker there side by side. It was amazing. We could not keep our eyes off of it. And there were a couple of moments where Adam actually went by you and you were like, nope, I'm going to take it. So what was going through your mind during those moments? This is a moment to attack?
Yeah, well, I felt that I had control, and that was what was most important to me. As we switched over to the red tires, I was extremely mindful to actually not use the available pace in the first 3 laps because of how much they wear, and I think that's what gave me the advantage towards the end of the race. So the last thing I wanted to do was let him by and sit in his dirty air for the entire stint to offset that advantage I had gained. So anytime he went by me, even if I couldn't get the position, my objective was attaining clean air and making sure that I could, in fact, make a pass in the coming corner.
Wow, that's both of you guys were then, because that's another thing that we were talking about Adam with. He was saving his tires as well, and both of you were saving your tires for that final battle. So it looks like it, and in your case, it paid off. So a great call, and again, thanks for putting on such an awesome race between you and Adam Blocker. I mean, I just saw that you cleared, and I was talking about it on the broadcast, you just cleared the 6,000 iRating mark. You got some more after the day's win here. So, I mean, when you got someone with 6,000 up there, and you got Adam Blocker, who we all know is good from Lionheart and all the Indy Open races, to see two real pros slugging it out like that, that was a lot of fun to watch. Thank you very much. I'm sure you got a lot of shout-outs that you want to make, and people you want to thank, because you guys at Satellite Racing brought a heck of a setup to Phillip Island today.
Absolutely, Gary, and thank you guys. It was truly my honor to be in this race and be a part of this broadcast. So thanks to you as well. Yeah, absolutely. Shout outs and honorable mentions go to Satellite Racing, Team Watson Racing, Racecraft One Indianapolis. Hi to the family. What's up, Brianna, Lawrence, and Candace? Thanks for watching. And everyone should be checking out these broadcasts every Saturday at 2 o'clock. So thanks to Race First for putting on such an awesome show for us, and hope to see you in the booth next week.
Yeah, and we try our best and have fun doing it. Next week, New Hampshire. We'll see you there. Congratulations on the win. Savor it, and we'll see you in a week.
Will do. Rock and roll, guys. See you then.
Congrats.
Yeah, someone's very, very happy. You kind of hear a little bit of disappointment with Adam, but
I was about to say that. Yeah, like dejection a little bit.
Yeah, and I think anybody else that would have finished second here would probably be a little excited. Adam is so used to that number one spot and driving and leading and winning that he seemed like a little down. But also, keep in mind the adrenaline is running down, and everyone's kind of. That downer mode when your adrenaline runs out is also starting to hit. So he might come back and think that was a much better race in the hindsight for him, despite all the excitement that we had watching those two race. But your final thoughts here before we move on to New Hampshire.
Well, first of all, I think we've said it a lot of times, but the cars may be virtual, but the racing and the competition, that's 100% real.
Yes,
and you can definitely tell by hearing the tone in Adam's voice and the tone in David's voice. I mean, the difference between those, and but what a race we saw! It was amazing, and I was not expecting that much side-by-side racing because of the width of the track and the fast sections and all that we were talking about. But those two and a lot of guys in the field put on an amazing show. So happy that we got to watch and to talk a little bit about it. Hope everyone enjoyed it. And yeah, next week at New Hampshire, well, a short oval where you need to manage your braking, manage your tires, probably run a little bit of a top line. There are a couple of moves where you can do that.
Yeah, that's a top line racetrack. It kind of defies all the oval lines that we kind of all know. It's like go right to the yellow line, right to the white line at the bottom. Nope, not New Hampshire.
Well, you can try and do some desperation moves and make some moves on the inside, but it's the car gets really upset and it's easy to lose. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of track position where you're at and trying to make sure that you make your car as wide as possible on that top line, and again try to make it as close to the wall as possible at least in turn 1 and 2. You want to be as close to the top as you can. But yeah, I mean, typically it does provide a lot of good racing, and we're gonna see some comers and goers. The tire wears out, everything changes, and probably also gonna be looking at some people losing their patience maybe a little bit because it's a short track, and you get stuck behind somebody when you cannot pass. So I foresee a lot of action happening next week. But,
yeah, Will actually talked about watching an old IndyCar race on YouTube, and actually one of the very best IndyCar races of all time was held there at New Hampshire. I believe the very first race they went there in it was in the early 90s, maybe 93. I gotta go back and look that up again. Normally I know that information, but it's slipping me right now. But go on YouTube, everybody, before next week and check out that race. And that's the style of racing that really was great for IndyCar in its heyday. But it's gonna be a little bit different with these IR18s. It's gonna be riding that high line, like you said.
Yep. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Come watch.
Yeah, so that's it today. Once again, your podium from Phillip Island is David Pacelli holding off a hard-charging Adam Blocker and Will Lyon. Well, he finished third, I guess. No one really saw him do it, so we'll just go off what timing and scoring says. Join Racefirst again next week for Round 7 at Indy Open Series Championship as we return to the ovals and head to the 1 mile paperclip known as New Hampshire Speedway. Coverage should begin approximately around 2 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube. Again, that's 2 p.m. Eastern on youtube.com/Racefirst. As always, check the official iRacing schedule or our channel for the correct time in your area. Also, don't forget, as I was reminded last week, daylight savings is falling back an hour soon. Be sure to check your calendars for that time change in your region. Racefirst coverage of the Indy Open Series Championship is sponsored by Team Watson Racing Setups. Visit teamwatsonracing.com for all the setups you need for the Indy Open Series season. Use the code WATSPIN39. That's WATSPIN 39 for 5% off your next purchase. Hey, we love bringing these races to you, and they're not easy, require time and money to produce. So if you share our passion for the sport of IndyCar and enjoyed our coverage of the Indy Open Series thus far, please take time to visit our GoFundMe page. A link is in the description, and donate to our Indy Open Series broadcast fund. Also, you can become a Racefirst Patreon member today. Visit patreon.com/Racefirst to become a member. We realize times are tough, so any contribution will be greatly appreciated. We thank you for watching and making us a part of your Saturdays each and every week. Now, as you know, the YouTube algorithm game is not easy, so please help support Racefirst with the weekly grind. Leave a comment below. Let us know your thought of today's race, and if you enjoyed today's coverage, support us by smashing like in the video. And we'll give it that thumbs up that happened to cover that pass. But if you're new, click subscribe. And change that button from red to gray. We really would appreciate it. While you had it, hit the bell for weekly reminders so you don't miss out more Racefirst iRacing programming, including Season 4 of 2022 of the Monday Night Indy Fix Top Split, where we'll be at Road America this week, or next week, and continuation of the Racefirst Formula Indy Series on Tuesdays. 2 more races to go. The championship's decided, but an exciting one at the Daytona Road Course. And starting December 7th is the return of the Revolution Indy League's Schaefer's IndyCar Series. That's all right here on Racefirst. So keep your browsers set here for the most in-depth IndyCar knowledge on all of iRacing. Racefirst, so we know what Indy means. For business inquiries to learn more about Racefirst and what we do, visit racefirst.com. Like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter. You can follow all of us on Twitter via our handles right here at the bottom of the screen. All of us, including Antonio, me, Nick, Racefirst, we're all there. Go ahead and add us. So for Antonio Estrada, everyone at Racefirst, I'm Gary Gotzo saying all thanks for watching, and to all of our men and women serving the military and as first responders, Godspeed, God bless, and call us safe. Most importantly, happy birthday to my wife and daughter. Catch us again next week for New Hampshire, or in New Hampshire for the next race of the Indy Open Series. Good night.